Page 10, the bear. This lesson we get a good practice at reading in bass clef because you'll notice both staves are in bass clef. Although the bottom staff, you're basically playing Fs. Because that first note in bass clef, that first note in the left hand, way down there, that's an F down here. If you have a short keyboard, then play the two lowest steps you have. If you don't have these, play these. However, I'm going to go through the steps I normally go through to learn a piece of music. Let's see what happens. First, I look it over. I want an idea how long it is. It's a page long. Then I look at the clef signs because you never know what they're going to be. Both are in bass clef. The key signature, there isn't any sharps or flats shown, so we're either in C major or A minor, or there are other keys besides. Isn't this wonderful? It's neither C major or A minor. It's in what's called a mode. Although major and minor are modes. There are 7 modes, one for each key, white key. And we're using the C and the A. That's major and minor. They have other names for modes. I'm not going to get into the other modes right now. This is in a mode. It's different because basically it's an F. It's not an F major though, because there are too many B flats or B naturals in here. It doesn't work very well. So as far as doing the scales go, just stick with the key signature. Go ahead and do the scale for C major and A minor. And 2 4-time signature. Right hand first, I want to make sure that I got a fingering that works and I'm happy with the rhythm and all. You're down here. And stay in the middle of the keyboard. Just turn and reach. Don't lean when you're on the keyboard, please, because that throws you off balance. That just messes it up. You have to have control of how hard you're pushing down here, and you can't do that when you're off balance. So stay upright, turn and reach here. Let's go to measure 11. Remember the numbers at the beginning of the stabs are measure numbers? So here we have a D flat and an F here. And here. Go ahead and let the sun come down. That's basically what that is. Now, go down to measure 18. It's a half note here. Now to go to the next measure, they went third finger. That doesn't work for me. So what I'm going to do is alter the fingering. And there are different fingering styles that different people use, but the one I found most effective is the last one I was taught in college. That's the one that I use all the time, the one I teach. It has certain principles to go along with it, because some pieces don't give you fingering. You got to figure it out. First off, I want as comfortable of hand position as I can get. It's not always possible, but here. So we're kind of in a 5-finger position more. But I don't want to go from here to here. I want to connect the notes if I can, regardless of what the articulation is. I don't care if there's staccatos in there. I'll do those later. I want a fingering that lets me connect the notes because that's usually a more sure fingering. It's a more solid fingering, especially if you get nervous. It really helps to keep you going. So since the thumb is there on measure 19, here, I'm going to use it, and I have 2 Bs in that measure. A lot of times we change hand positions on repeated notes, and a repeated note is a note that's played more than once. Well, there's 2 Bs. So I can play the first B with thumb and then third finger, and I'm there. So measure 18 is here, and measure 19 is here. Do that. That's the only fingering change I'm suggesting here. I tend to make a lot of fingering suggestions in these pieces, but we'll see. There's nothing wrong with the fingering in the book. It's just a different fingering style than the one that I use and teach. Left hand. Well, we have the Fs. So just go back and forth through the whole thing. That's all you're doing. This must be the bear walking or something. And once I can do that, then I put the hands together. Start with the third measure here, both hands, here. Yes, it's supposed to sound like that. It's a bear. What do you expect? And I go through the whole piece slowly. Your speed, not mine. and make sure I put the hands together. And then I'll go back over the hard parts and I'll work out the hesitations. No hesitations. This is steady through the whole piece. No hesitations anywhere. Once I do that, then I add the articulation. Staccato, flexing at the wrist here. Short. And these, you have tenuto lines over those. See the little, or hang on to those. Hold them out as long as you possibly can. And that's basically the articulation. Now, I might mention on these tenuto lines, measure 3 in the right hand, the B's have the little line under, those are tenuto marks or lines. The meaning for that symbol has changed over the years. Some people will use that as a stress mark. They'll say, oh, bring that note out. Others, like me, it's just a tenuto. It just means you linger on the note as long, you make it as long as you can. And if there were a rest or something after it, I might linger on a little longer, like the last measure here. I might hold it out just a hair longer than one count, just to linger on the note. You do what your teacher tells you to do, but in this piece, all you're doing is lingering. You're not stressing those notes, you're just lingering on them. See, a long time ago, that note, that symbol meant accent, and it doesn't do that anymore. We got other symbols now for that. Now, once I have the articulation in, then I think about the dynamics, and that's going to be for the right hand, the melody. Yeah, actually, I should say melody, not right, because the melody can go anywhere, and that's for the melody, whatever. And this piece is the right hand. Third measure, moderately loud here. Not loud, just sort of loud, mezzo forte. The left hand is soft, back underneath. But the first 2 measures, what's going on here? They want you to start soft, and then they give you the arrow to crescendo or get louder into the moderately loud. But the left hand isn't going to do that. It's the right hand. It's here, it's soft, a little louder, now. So the left hand on the third measure has got to come down. So it's louder, now. It's got to come suddenly down. Something like that. Well, you can read the dynamics as well as I can. Just follow what it says. At the last line, there is a dim. They're in measure 23, short for diminuendo, which means gradually get softer. You are loud here, because you got loud at measure 19, but you're loud here in the right hand. So this is measure 23, loud. Now, I got all the way down here, and now the last 2 measures, I'm soft. And I might mention the next to the last measure, because I missed it before. Shame on me, oh well. The next to the last measure, you have a dot and a line both. So that's like a staccato and linger on the note. What? Well, make up your mind. It's called a portamento. It's a long staccato. You just separate the notes here. Yeah. Remember, in music, you get 2 choices. You get legato, or connectum, or you get staccato, disconnectum. That's it. You can do one or the other. Take your pick. But with staccato, we also have choices on how short the note is. At the beginning, short. You can't get too short when you're down here, because the piano won't do it. Let's go up here. Short. But I can have a longer staccato. See, they're still disconnected, therefore they're still staccato. They're just not short. And that's what that portamento is at the bottom. They're long staccato. In the right hand. But the left hand, if you can, keep those short. See, that's short, that isn't. Yeah, if you can. If you can't do that, if you can't do 2 different things in the hands, where this is short and this is longer, then do them both the same. Do them both. Make this like the right hand. But if you can, keep that short. Yeah. Tempo-wise, well, andante passante is just a heavy stroll. It's a bear walking. And don't copy me, please, because there's different ways of playing this. I play by feel. It depends on how I feel it. Remember the natural accents? 1, 2, 1, 2. First beat of a measure. So I'm exaggerating them so you can hear them better, but that's really what you want to do throughout this whole thing, is feel this. Feel that first beat of the measure. If you'll feel it, it'll come out, and the audience will feel it also.